If you consider yourself to be a black feminist, you need to know a little more about this woman over here on the left, Miss Gloria Steinem. The title of this article did get cut off on the screen, but it is called Black Feminism, the CIA, and Gloria Steinem.
Peace and blessings, family. Shout out to all my silver tongues out there. I am your host, CueBracey, and today y'all see what we're getting into. A sister exposes how America has been using black women against black men. Now, this is something that I've spoken about often on this channel, but it's so refreshing to hear a woman's perspective on this. So without further ado, let's get into the clips.
What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operations against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful and virulent strain of black feminism that attacks black men while partnering with the white establishment.
Wow, this sister is really diving deep right now. She's already said a mouthful and we just now getting into the video. But I wanted to stop right here to give you an example of what that hatred looks like. Check it out.
I think that the only thing that's changed in the last, since Martin Luther King, since 54, I think the only thing that's really changed is the black woman. There was a time, let's say my mother, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it. And my generation says, hey, no good. Okay. You must establish a new base.
I'll agree with that.
And we are, as a group, demanding that a new base be established.
Yeah, but be careful as a woman of what you demand of a man.
I demand that he be a man.
Yeah, but you can't
because
say,
the provision part.
Yeah, but you can't say you demand it. You have to suggest it.
Well, that's your ego that says that.
No, that's her ego.
I demand it. Now you deal with that.
All right. Okay. I'll even go with that.
I demand that you be a man, and I don't think that that's asking too much.
So now look, that conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin is so dynamic. The first thing that's dynamic about this conversation is that Nikki Giovanni is admitting that black women have changed. The second reason this clip is dynamic, it shows the attack on black men by black women saying that they want to define masculinity for black men, and it's coming from a group. Now, let me be very clear here. The assumption is that there was something wrong with the older black men. I want that to sink in for a second. Because as I think about black culture and I think about the narrative about black men, it really breaks my heart. Because I think like before integration, we had our own stores, we had our own baseball league, we had our own hotels, we owned property in Wilmington, we had Black Wall Street, we had the Harlem Renaissance, we owned farms. I'm just trying to figure out what was wrong with the old black men. But I digress. Let's keep listening to the original clip.
Gloria first came across the radar of black men in 1978 when Steinem put a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman on the cover of Miss Magazine, the magazine which she controlled. The book was written by black feminist and activist Michelle Wallace, who literally came out of nowhere. In the book, Wallace called abolitionists like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth ugly and stupid for supporting black men. She called black revolutionaries chauvinist macho pigs and advised black women to go it alone.
Now, she actually did a revised version to her book in 2013, where she wrote a new introduction entitled How I See It Then, How I See It Now. In her new introduction, this is what she said. If I had to do it over again, I would no longer maintain that black macho was the crucial factor in the destruction of the Black Power movement. She said, because it was a claim that was impossible to substantiate at the level of sociology, historical, or journalistic data. Now, she just admitted in her own book in the revised version that the things that she said were not true and could not be substantiated. This is what she went on to say. While it may be a valid interpretation of events to say that a brand of black male chauvinism contributed to the short-sightedness and failure of the Black Power movement, there are other interpretations equally as valid. For instance, that police and the CIA repression were also factors in the demise of the movement. She said, my perspective on such matters have shifted from a preoccupation with what really happened. I will never really know about most of the events of the civil rights movement and Black Power movement since I wasn't there. This was a woman that was writing about things that she had no experience with. So in the Bible, it says, know them by their fruits. A lot of times we are listening to people, even to this day, that by their fruits should not be listened to. She wasn't even a part of the Black Power movement. She wasn't a part of the Civil Rights movement. Once again, she came out of nowhere. So I just wanted to read that so y'all could be very clear that even the woman who wrote these things, calling men chauvinists and things of that nature, is admitting that she just made some shit up and that wasn't the contributing factor to the demise of the Black movement or the Black family or anything.
But pay attention to this part. Gloria Steinem said that Wallace's book would define the future of Black relationships, and she pushed hard to make sure that the book received massive publicity. And don't we see this happening today?
Absolutely, we see this happening today. And I have a perfect example of exactly what that looks like. Check this out.
I gotta ask this question. Because you're on this show with the cocktails with the queens. I care about what's in this contract with Black America for women, and it's not, we're not mentioned at all in the contract with Black America. And
you are mentioned. I mean, when you mention Black people, you mentioning Black women. So don't count yourself out. Yes, you are. Black women are not included in Black people.
No, it's like when the president says minorities, then he's including Black people. But we all know that that's not the case. Black women have specific needs that are not also being met. And we also feel that there should be some things that are specific to us and our plight as well. I feel like
I just offered y'all to write a section up for it.
I wanted to play this clip because it's a perfect example of how Black women are being used against Black men today. Our women are telling us that Black people and Black women are not the same. Once again, that's very disheartening because Black men always look out for Black women. Ice Cube has hired almost all of these women to work for him at some point in time. He's put money in all these women's pockets.
You might not be calling Sojourner Truth or Harriet Tubman ugly and stupid, but you sure are calling your fellow Black sister a pick-me or desperate or thirsty when she stands up for Black men. Y'all shame, y'all deflect, y'all project guilt on those who want to stand up for our men. You're literally doing what she intended from the beginning. Let a woman today stand up for Black men and all of a sudden she's a misogynist and she hates women. I digress. What's the bottom line? The bottom line is the so-called Black feminist movement was created and manipulated by the CIA from the very beginning.
Whenever I hear the letter CIA, I automatically know ideological subversion is involved. Now, what is ideological subversion? It's a warfare tactic used to change people's perception. To put it simply, it's when you tell a lie and make people believe it's the truth. Now, the real power of ideological subversion is that it's generational. What that means is that once I change the way you perceive something, it usually lasts for 4 to 5 generations. And this is exactly what we're seeing in our society today.
The only difference between Black revolutionaries and Black feminists on this issue is that the Black revolutionaries know they were infiltrated and manipulated, but Black feminists are still unwilling to admit that they were infiltrated and manipulated, largely because they are highly invested in the hateful brand of Black feminism.
Now, I agree with almost everything that she said, but I have to make this correction because this is a major correction to help you liberate yourself. The primary difference between the Black revolutionary movements and the Black feminist movement is that the Black revolutionary movement was putting things in the community. You ain't never heard about them killing no Black feminists because Black feminists are not a threat to any type of power structure. I challenge anybody that's listening to me to go find me some clips of Black women, Black feminists out in the community feeding and taking care of children like the Black Panthers did.
As a result, the Hate Black Men movement has become more than just a political point of view. It is now an essential part of the culture of Black women, and this fact has led to the destruction of the Black Revolution and the complete distortion of Black relationships, and the CIA had a direct hand in creating this situation. Gloria Steinem knew what she was doing when she put that book on the cover of Miss Magazine. Remember what she said earlier? She said that that book would define the future of Black relationships. She pushed hard to make sure that book received massive publicity, and she used someone who looks just like you to push that narrative. If this doesn't change your mind about feminism, honestly, I don't know what will.
First and foremost, I just want to give a big shout out to this sister for breaking this down the way that she broke it down. I love when women expose other women and when women expose the truth, because a lot of times when men say it, they call us misogynists, right? So I love that other women are catching on to the BS that's been going on for the longest. Now, at the end of her clip, she said, if this doesn't change your mind about feminism, I don't know what will. And the reality is this: for many of our brothers and sisters, nothing is going to change their mind. And Gloria Steinem knew that. But a part of us liberating ourselves as black men is realizing this: it's not our job to convince black women that we are not the lies that have been told about us. That's not our job. There will be some black women like the one in this video who wake up and realize that all of these things were lies. And there will be others that continue to talk about things that happen on television, things that they didn't even experience. Like, that's what I find most interesting about Nikki Giovanni, because as she was sitting there telling James Baldwin about the new woman and how the new woman is demanding something from the new man, at the end of the interview, she said this:
in case it was sort of like left up in the air or somebody, like I didn't get it across, I really think that my father, Jones Giovanni, is a groovy cat, and he's lived with my mother now for 35 years under holy wedlock, and I think that that's good for them. I think that that sort of thing worked for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the main thing, that they were able to love despite it all.
That's what we were talking about before.
Right, exactly.
And you, by the way, you do not have to tell me that you love your father. I knew that.
I'm telling you, man, once you wake up, it becomes disheartening when you see the betrayal from people that you hold at high esteem. I met Nikki Giovanni at my college, Albany State University. At the time, I had no awareness of the things that I'm sharing with you today. All I saw was a woman who I thought in my mind was down with the black struggle, was down with black liberation, was down with, making the black community great. I thought because she was talking that meant she was for us, right? But a lot of these people just pimp the black community. And here's what I want to say: it's not just women. There are a lot of black men who are black feminists, and they spew just as much hateful rhetoric about black men as black women do. Here's how I want to wrap up this video. In 2013, when Michelle Wallace did a revised version of her book, the foreword was done by Jamila Lemieux. And here's what she wrote: I interviewed Michelle Wallace for the March 2013 issue of Ebony for a feature on the burgeoning presence of black feminist thought online. Black Feminism Goes Viral is the title. One of the things we discussed in our lengthy interview was how her feminist identity may have had a toll on her romantic relationships, and she had never had children as a result. I thought long and hard about this when we got off the phone, and I have to disagree. Michelle Wallace has a lot of children. She has Joan Morgan, Dream Hampton, Mickey Kendall, Feminista Jones, Michael Smith, Trudy, Mark Lamont Hill, Brittany Cooper, and many others. And if I am nothing else in this world, I am a daughter of Michelle Wallace. To me, that's a perfect wrap up to the book, because it shows the power of the devil and how the devil operates. Michelle Wallace is speaking to a young lady about her regrets of not being in a relationship and not having children because she chose feminism. The young lady is arguing with Michelle Wallace, a woman that has already been through it, and trying to make her feel better by saying, we are your children. And so the real power of propaganda is that even when the person who spewed the propaganda wakes up and decides to change, they've already given birth to a bunch of other people that think like they used to think. And this is why the impact lasts for so many generations. Anywho's, if you like this video, I have another video similar to this entitled Black Women in LA Are Frustrated About the Dating Scene Because of This. Click the link below, check that video out, and I'll see y'all over there. Peace.